Welcome everybody to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. Glad to have you with us this week. We have a great story about a big developer here in northern Nevada who's really making a legacy for himself, and we're proud to have him here. So we'll have the whole story right after this.
Hi there, I'm Roy Marshall of the Marshall Mint in Virginia City, Nevada. I'm proud to announce that our 7-ingot set honoring the V&T Railroad is now finished.
That's right, Roy. These beautiful 999 silver ingots celebrate the engines from the world-famous V&T Railroad and honor Nevada's sesquicentennial. These limited edition treasures can be purchased only at the Marshall Mint in Virginia City, Nevada.
Or visit us at marshallmint.com to get yours today.
Get the Charter Spectrum Triple Play. It's more than meets the eye. With over 200 free HD channels available, it's the most HD you can get. Instant access to over 10,000 on-demand movies and shows. Plus the Charter app for live TV that jumps to mobile devices in any room. All that for $29.99 a month. Switch to Charter Spectrum Internet, faster than the speed of WOW. Take off with 60 megs of speed, bandwidth that lets multi-people multitask, stream movies, play games, watch videos, and share vines all at once. No slowdowns. Shazam! For only $29.99 a month. Just call 877-959-1634. Then pick up Charter Spectrum Voice for unlimited local and long-distance calling. And catch this. No drop calls. Stuck in a contract? Charter pays up to $500 to get you out. Charter Spectrum TV, Internet, and Voice, $29.99 a month each. Call 877-959-1634. See for yourself. Call Charter today.
Fun, fashionable furs. Epitome of glamour for decades. Designer lines for women and men. Only the best will do. William Furs is the ultimate shopping experience for Reno, with furs, accessories, and great gift ideas. Winter is here. Enjoy savings of 20 to 50% off. Treat yourself or your loved ones and choose from thousands of pieces in our beautiful new inventory. William Furs, a full-service fur salon since 1977.
Welcome everybody to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. I'm John O'Brien, the host of the show, and as usual, next to over on the other side of the set there is Roy Marshall, my sidekick on the show. 181 episodes, and welcome to the show, Roy, as always.
How you doing, John?
I'm doing
another spectacular show.
Absolutely.
Becoming famous individual here.
That's right, and we're happy to have this special guest today, Mr. Lance Gilman. Lance, good to be with you today.
Yeah, most certainly.
Exciting to be here, you guys. I've enjoyed everything you've done, and I'm really pleased to be here and spend a few time.
Super.
That's fantastic.
Now, most people are becoming familiar with Lance because of all the great news that we've had in recent days about the Tesla Corporation and your work in bringing that company to Reno. But there's a lot more to the story than just what we've heard recently. And Lance is a tremendous developer here in northern Nevada, and we're going to explore that whole activity that you've been involved with over the last how many years? How long have you been here in northern Nevada?
I relocated to northern Nevada. Well, actually, I started coming here in the late 60s. I was with Capitol Records.
Oh, really?
And we brought a lot of our talent up here to play in the Old Mapes Hotel.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of concerts up here. And I fell in love with Reno. Matter of fact, I taught the two how to snow ski in years past back here. Okay. But that's when I fell in love with Reno and northern Nevada, the Sierras. And I actually was successful in moving my company and all of our operations here in 1985.
Right. But you're originally from where?
Well, I'm kind of a stray dog from every town in a lot of ways. I was born in San Diego, California.
Oh, okay.
But my dad was with the Immigration Border Patrol on the Mexican border. So by the time I was a senior in high school, we'd lived in 25 homes. And
25
I'd gone to about 12 different schools. And I really never had a neighborhood until I got to northern Nevada. This is my home.
Yeah.
But up until there, I was a new kid about every 6 months in a new neighborhood.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Wow.
El Paso, Brownsville, San Antonio, Phoenix, Arizona.
So all having to do with the Border Patrol, huh? They moved you around
Dad
like
was
that.
moving along. He went from a gentleman on horseback on the river as a young man in about 1941, and he ended up as the regional commissioner of operations for both Border Patrol and immigration. And so he had a phenomenal career.
Yeah, very
law
accomplished.
enforcement. Very
Yeah.
accomplished.
All
Very
right.
accomplished.
So-
He was national hero in 1961.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What do you do?
John Kennedy proclaimed it. Well, he was aboard a Continental Airlines jet
Mm-hmm.
that was hijacked out of Phoenix, Arizona by the Beardens. And Dad happened to be on board by chance, and the plane was sat down for refueling in El Paso. They were trying to take it to Cuba. It was during the Cuban
Oh, yeah,
Missile
I think I
Crisis.
recall that.
And so they got it set down, and then Dad got all the passengers released, and they called it 9 hours of terror when they wrote it up. But
Wow.
at the end of the hunt, Dad knocked the hijackers out and drug them off the plane, and that's a fact. So
Was he a big guy like you?
my dad was as tough a little fella as you'd ever meet in your
Is
life.
that right?
Yeah, he lettered in 5 sports. He was All-American. He was drafted by the Bears as a football player.
No
He was a
kidding.
letterhead, and yeah, he was a tough man.
You didn't mess with him. All right.
No,
That's
he
good.
messed with me. I grew up in a tough place.
Yeah, very disciplined, I suppose.
Very
huh?
disciplined,
Yeah, there you
he
go.
was.
So anyway, you spent a lot of time in San Diego as a teenager, or as you got older, you found your way to San Diego and made that your.
I went back to San Diego after school and various colleges. I went over to Hawaii for a while, lived there for a couple of years, worked for the bank, and enjoyed Oahu in the days when there were very few tourists there.
Oh, okay.
And played some music over there, and then
Yeah, that's right.
finally
Oh, that's
decided maybe I better get an education.
Yeah.
So that's when I came back and met this gal who was one of the counselors at the college. She said, "Lance, why don't we send you to Saul Ross in Alpine, Texas, and see if we can't get you educated?" So I got a double minor back there, and still played a little.
So
music.
you're from Uroy's old
That's a
haunts
great
back there in
school out in
Texas.
the middle of nowhere, but
Yep.
it's
Marfa,
a lot
Texas.
of good ag kids have come out of there.
Yeah.
Great rodeo
And
school.
involved with farming,
Rodeo school.
agriculture.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you went to school there. You had a band, I understand. You played bass.
I played
And
bass
Mama
and
sang
guitar,
tenor?
and we were kind of known as the kick the dust up with the cowboy stuff. Farron Young came through, and we were
No
backup
kidding.
band for him, and oh goodness, Jerry Lee Lewis, and
Wow.
others. Yeah.
That's great. So you got your education. You got your degree, I suppose.
I got a degree.
In what? Business or what?
Well, actually, I have a major in economics with a double minor in business and geology. And so I really, Terlingua, Texas, and all the mining
yeah,
back there.
Terlingua,
I love that. And then I went back to San Diego to law school.
Oh.
And so I decided that maybe I better choose a career. And so I went back for law school, and I wasn't cut out to be a lawyer. Living in the basement with books is just not what I wanted to do. And so, fortunately, I was offered a job by Capitol Records as their Western Regional Artist Director Promotion for artists.
Beautiful.
And so I moved to the Hollywood and Capitol Record Tower up there,
Amazing.
chased records, and had a great time.
Gee, just a lot of interest. You went
it
a
was.
lot of different ways.
It kind of started my whole career in life.
Yeah,
It did.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
So how'd you get into real estate then? Or was it real estate to start with, or was it something else?
Something else.
What was it?
Well, from Capitol Records, in those days, we were all talking about a 4-day work week. The nation was
right.
we were going to be able to make a lot of money in 4 days and have 3 days off.
Yeah.
And so it appeared to me that would be a good time to get into recreational equipment. And so I had this dream of opening up in San Diego a multi-purpose recreational vehicle store. And so I decided to start with boats. And so we put a little boat pad down there and had a good year. And so then we built a 40,000 square foot indoor showroom. And then I got the marina down at Glorieta Bay on Coronado Island. And the first thing you know, we were one of the largest dealers in the Southern California market.
That's amazing.
And actually, we had Bayliners and Glastrons, and I think we were in their top 3 dealers nationally for, 7 years, something like that.
Yeah, 70.
But had a great start in boats, and really that's what led to real estate for me, because we're financing a lot of boats, and it became pretty apparent that the guys around me and the gals who were having successful careers were in real estate. They were selling it, they were building it, they were in construction, and so the money roll was in real estate development.
Yeah, I would
thought,
imagine so.
hell, if I can sell you a Bayliner for the bay, I can sell you a piece of property.
There you go.
So in about 1978, I applied for and got my broker's license, and then within about 1980, I joined the Grubb & Ellis company.
Yeah. Was it hard to get licenses like that back in those days, or was it pretty simple?
Well, you had to go to school.
You had to go to school.
You
yeah.
had to pass the California protocol in order to be licensed.
Yeah.
And I became licensed at a broker, not
Okay.
a salesman.
All right.
And so that I was able to open my own company, and eventually did in California and here in Nevada.
Grubbs and
but
Ellis.
I went to work for Grubb and Ellis.
Yeah,
and,
Grubbs and Ellis.
In Grubb and Ellis, in that company, you became a specialist. Maybe you sold apartments or investment properties. I became, you wouldn't imagine, I became a retail specialist, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we built shopping centers, and that's kind of where my career started in San Diego, was building shopping.
You just
and
had a
that's where I
knack
met
for
Roger
it.
Norman.
You just had a. That's where you met him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. But you must have just had a passion for that kind of business, because you tried a lot of things, and once you got to that, it seems to be that's the thing that you didn't want to do.
It's all selling of what he's doing.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet.
Soul selling.
I've been accused of selling about everything a man can sell.
Everybody.
My dad was a great salesman. He used to sell Kirby's.
Oh, is that well?
Kirby vacuums.
Yeah, and those were wonderful products.
They
in their
were, and
day
they were
either.
expensive in those days.
They
too.
were, yeah.
But he used to sell 30 a month. Every day he'd go out and sell a Kirby. He wouldn't come home until he sold a Kirby.
In Hawaii, I even sold Avon. So, I mean, there's not much I haven't touched somewhere
There you
along
go.
the way.
Well, but what a background for what you're doing now. I mean, to have those kind of experiences. Yeah. So you were successful, I would imagine, as a broker down there in San Diego, right?
Brokerage was very, very, very good to me.
So how did you become interested in Nevada? Why was Nevada all of a sudden in your scopes?
Well, I married 4 children and had been in the real estate market for a period of time there, long enough to know that California was going into a pretty tough recession.
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, with Grubb and Ellis, I had met Roger Norman, and he had a piece of land that was very difficult to develop in a place called La Mesa, California. And I didn't know him at the time, and it was my first listing. They said, go get something to work on, and then you can make your career from there. So I went and found this really difficult piece. It was in a cul-de-sac. In other words, to get on a freeway, you have to make a circle and get on the freeway. Mm-hmm. Well, he owned the center of the circle. 3 other developers that had it, nobody could build it. So I didn't know, and so I got the land to list, and lo and behold, found out that it qualified for 2 huge pole signs on this freeway that went right through the area.
Okay.
So within a short period of time, I had Sears Business Center and Mad Jack Sound Center and Merrill Lynch, and it was leased, but it wasn't right. Yeah. So finally Norman said, well, I got to meet this guy. And so he came out and we kicked the dirt, and I showed him all the leases I had all signed up, and he said, well, I'm going to have to build this, Lance. And I said, yes, sir. So that's where our association began. Literally, he was in about, under $2 million, and as soon as he finished it, I brought him an offer from a REIT for $5 million.
Wow.
So he said, well, let's team up.
Uh-huh.
And so he said, I was with Grubb and Ellis. He said, I'd like to have a piece of land to build a shopping center on at every intersection in San Diego County. Now, that's 3 big freeways.
That's pretty aggressive.
And so that was aggressive.
Yeah.
And that was my first goal with him, and we did. We bought property all over, and then we built shopping centers, and then we leased them, and that kind of started that. In the meantime, I purchased a piece of land out in La Mesa, California, and it's called the Rancho Humboldt Estates, and that was my first large community development. Mm-hmm. And it was 2,500 acres, and we broke it into 2.5-acre home sites, and it had been in the hands of others, and they'd never really completed it correctly. And so we redid it and graded stuff and put in private gates and a big office down in front and guards. And lo and behold, first thing you know, we just sold that thing out, and so it was built some homes. We had some 10,000 footers in there. Gorgeous.
Now, was Roger a financial guy, or was he a real estate guy as well? What was his background?
I love telling Roger's story, and he doesn't mind. So I'm going to tell you, when I first met Roger Norman, he's brilliant. He's brilliant with people. He's got a calculator that works in that head. But when I first met him, he couldn't read or write.
Nope.
He'd never got out of high school. And he'd had about 35 semi-pro fights. He was a boxer.
Wow.
And but he was brilliant, and he had a small automotive center where you could buy mufflers or get your car painted.
Yeah.
And he owned the paint shop. So he said, as a matter of fact, a side story. I have to think of these things we're talking.
I'll tell you what. Can we hold there?
We can.
We got to take a break. We're going to
remind me.
I will get you back on
Robert Helms story to share with you.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
I knew Bob pretty well.
Okay, super. We'll be back with Lance Gilman, Roy Marshall on Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. Great stories to come. Stay tuned.
Fun, fashionable furs. Epitome of glamour for decades. Designer lines for women and men. Only the best will do. William Furs is the ultimate shopping experience for Reno, with furs, accessories, and great gift ideas. Winter is here. Enjoy savings of 20 to 50% off. Treat yourself or your loved ones and choose from thousands of pieces in our beautiful new inventory. William Furs, a full-service fur salon since 1977.
At Harry's Quality Cars, the 500 vehicles in stock speak for themselves.
Most of us have one owner car fax reports.
We all have warranties. I have very low mileage.
I'm the prettiest car in stock.
I'm muscle-bound and ready for the hills.
Harry's Quality Cars, local and family-owned for over 40 years on Kitski and Gentry and on South Virginia Street. Harry's cars really do speak for themselves.
Drive one of us home today!
Shoeman's Custom Cycle with a biker's bike shop. From the new set of pipes to custom renovations, building ultimate machines is our reputation. Feel the performance, experience the power. From chrome to leather, the selection doesn't quit. If it wasn't done to Shoeman's, it ain't. Shoeman's Custom Cycle with a biker's bike shop.
We've invested billions to bring you the most advanced network in the nation, Charter Spectrum. Get the most HD anywhere with Charter Spectrum TV. Over 200 high-def channels available, 10,000 instant on-demand choices, and the Charter app to watch live TV anywhere at home on your mobile devices. Just $29.99 a month. Call 866-517-6150 now. Charter Spectrum Internet accelerates you to incredible speeds. 60 megabits per second, 20 times faster than phone company DSL. Just $29.99 a month. And Charter Spectrum Voice delivers unlimited calling with none of the phone company's extra fees or taxes. Just $29.99 a month. Charter Spectrum. More free HD, faster internet, unlimited calling, and no contract to sign. Just $29.99 a month each. Call 866-517-6150 now. Charter Spectrum is here.
We're back here in Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. We're with Lance Gilman. He's our special guest today, and he's one of the principals over there at the TRI, the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. How come you don't use the C in there?
Trick?
Yeah. It might work over there, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, great to have you on the show, and along with you, Roy Marshall. We were talking before we left on the break about your relationship with Roger Norman, and you were telling us what a unique guy he was. He wasn't a well-educated man in the sense of having a lot of schooling and couldn't even read or write.
When I first met him, that's true. That's not true today.
Yeah, it's not true today.
Right.
But good businessman, and that happens a lot. You know, a lot of people that don't have a lot of education are wonderful businessmen, and he happens to be one of them. What are some of the things he did before he got involved with you?
You mean from the standpoint of industry?
Yeah, what was he into?
So he was involved in building what I would call small centers for automotive. He had paint shops, and in the automotive center, he would have mufflers and transmissions and shocks and those kind of things.
And he was successful?
He started out in Kearney Mesa, California with one of those, and then, first thing you know, he had 7 of them.
Isn't that amazing?
And so he really knew how to paint your car, and he knew how to build a center.
And so you're a good match for each other.
We actually, very, very much so. He gets frustrated with the paperwork and the deal making, and he gets pretty nervous, and he likes to move dirt. Mm-hmm. So he's a yellow equipment guy. When the grading starts, like right now with Tesla, he talks to them 2 or 3 times a day. During the transactional portion, not so much. Yeah. You know, but he's brilliant, and one of the things that he's fooled folks with is he has a calculator that runs in his head, and so we're all figuring out, well, how many trucks and how many loads and how many guys and what's it going to cost per hour. He already knows that stuff.
Figured it out already.
He's already figured it out. And the other thing I've learned with him is I never pull out an HP to do any calculations for a return on investment in anything, because he plays with people. You're sitting there playing with your calculator trying to figure out exactly where it is.
Yeah.
He's already there.
He'll give you the number.
He'll give you the number.
So,
Isn't that amazing?
you know, we all have gifts that
Sure.
the Lord gave us, and one of his is he's got a magical mathematical equation that runs in his head.
That's
So
a
strong.
great thing to have.
Just
Great
amazing.
talent to have when you're doing business like you're doing out there in TRI.
You don't fool him.
Yeah. So anyway, you're in California. You did those successful projects down there, and all of a sudden Nevada comes into focus. Why was that?
Well, I read an article out of Washington D.C. that was about 10 boom towns you can count on for the 90s, and I was ready to move. I had 4 children, and I wanted to raise them in northern Nevada. This is an incredible, well, we all know Rand McNally calls it the #1 for fun in the nation.
It is.
And it is.
Yeah.
And I knew that there would be a lot of quality law enforcement here. It was a smaller environment with a lot of opportunity, big little city, big little opportunities. And I wanted to be a part of that.
There you go.
And I was at a perfect place in my life transitionally where I could move and do exactly what I do, and that's build real estate.
Yeah. So basically you moved in the middle of the night, you said, or close to that, right?
Well, we made pretty much a decision to move, and it didn't take me long. I ran up here and found Tommy Amato's house, and we decided to buy that property and start a restoration. But I took a better part of a year or more to get acquainted with the market before I got my real estate license and looked it all over and started building some things. Got involved with Steve Harris at the Plum and Plumas project, and so
yeah, great.
Once we got our feet on the ground, then the opportunity opened up to do the Double Diamond Ranch.
Right, because you were involved with that company that originally purchased it from the Wilbur May folks, right?
Yeah, they were going to allow me to work as their project manager.
Okay.
And so I knew the product well, I knew the market well, and when they ended up in financial trouble, which a lot of people did in those years, and when they ended up having their struggles, well, they asked me to bring a buyer to the table. And so I went and got Roger.
You went and got Roger. So
and
Roger,
the rest is history.
yeah, because that's a great success. But I remember we talked about this before we started the show. I met you for the first time out in that little trailer. It was a little gray trailer. It was sitting on South Meadows there where that, I think the Gulf Station, not a Gulf Station, what is there, Chevron over there? Now on that right side, that's about where you were.
Yeah, it is,
And
exactly.
I walked up the few stairs into this little office, and there you were. You still had the cowboy hat on, too, in those days.
I did, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And small beginnings, but that thing just turned out to be a beautiful project. That is
Our first project was Lockheed.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, in those years, when the newspaper wrote that up, they said the two events of the decade that formulated where we were going as a community up here was Lockheed. They had the laser guidance system for the Patriot missile contract with Raytheon, and they had to be in that building. And of course, you remember in those days we were just dirt roads, and there wasn't much there.
There wasn't much there at all.
We built that building during the worst winter storm that they'd had here in 50 years.
It had 5 feet of snow.
We were dragging Norm Deanne at Q&D was the contractor. He did it. What a great man! And great
we've had him
that
on
is.
the show.
Great
story.
Great company.
Yeah.
And he really put that together with a guy named Don Clark, who was the architect here in town. And what a success, Lockheed, and we got them here. The other thing they mentioned in the newspaper was the bowling stadium. So those were the two greatest things of the decade, Lockheed and the bowling stadium.
Yeah, until your project out there on
we got
on 80.
mention.
Yeah,
right. We hadn't started out there yet. We were doing South Meadows, and of course the university and everyone that were doing projections. If you looked at the historical absorption in the Truckee Meadows, the project should have taken 25 years. We were out of there in less than 9 years.
It just kind of exploded at a certain point. They couldn't build them fast enough up there. Yeah. In fact, we lived there for 16 years. One question I always wondered when I was there was why or where was the original ranch house? Because it's a Wilbur May Double Diamond Ranch. Double Diamond Ranch. And the logo is actually Wilbur and, the W and the M. On top of each other there. So, but I always wondered where the ranch house was and why we didn't keep it there. Why it wasn't part of that project. But you have a good explanation for that.
We were torched during the time of the processing, and there was a lot of community concern about building out in the meadows in the valley there. And so Robert Helms, we were down in Reno at all of the hearings and trying to get all the processing put together. We were planning to use that as a sales center and as a historical site, and it deserved to have that.
Absolutely.
But somebody went out there in the middle of the night, and it had a false floor under the wood floors, and so they had filled this false floor full of gasoline and torched it, and it burnt with just in a matter of an hour.
Wow. So you think it was intentional, and it was probably to try to hold up the project or show their displeasure with the project? I mean, what?
I would be speculating, and I don't want to be unfair, but there are groups that are environmental groups that ruin equipment and fill gas tanks full of sugar and burn things, and so there was during the time a pretty good strong adversarial group that didn't want that developed down there. And I laugh, my children, they were all in school here, and you talk about the kickback on some of the things you choose to do. Yeah. But the kids probably had more trouble with my name in those days. I've done some other things since. But my kids had more trouble with the fact that their dad was this California developer who was building in this beautiful valley.
Well, it was a beautiful wetlands and cattle ranch, and there was a lot of wild animals out there, and bird life of all kinds. It's still out there, actually, because I lived there for 16 years, and I was right next to the Mustangs and the geese, and it was a great place, and still is, actually. So you've done a great job with it, but it must have been a rather challenging project because there was a lot of water coming through there, and you had to build those channels for drainage, but everything seems to work out well.
A couple of stories. I was awarded, Senator Townsend, as a matter of fact, presented the award for, what do they call it? Not economic excellence, but environmental excellence in development. Environmental excellence in development because of the way that park and project went together. And so we did have phenomenal flood control. And during the big flood, when the airport was underwater and everything down here, they landed all of the emergency vehicles at South Meadows because it was really the only place in the valley that was dry.
Carried that water out of there.
Carried the water out of there, and very well done. And the other thing we did is we did a lot of research and borings, and it turned out that there was not near the wetlands. It was manufactured wetlands. The ranchers in northern Nevada had been bringing water back there with all of our ditches and flooding it for years and years and years.
Right.
And once you gave it back to Mother Nature, and I have pictures from the time when they were doing the surveys out of the wagons, and that was all uplands. That was all sagebrush, so we cultivated it and smoothed it into a growing area.
Yeah, at times you had to bring in almost a mountain worth of dirt, though, to bring it up to a buildable height. To keep
actually, we dug the dirt out of the flood control channel, so we didn't import anything. We were able to generate everything on site.
Oh, no kidding! Wow, okay, because I remember they were building behind me, and I saw all these green trucks for months and months and months. I said, "Where are they getting all that dirt from?"
Must have been another project.
Yeah, but it was really good. So anyway, that was a tremendous success for you, and then we kind of lost track of you. I mean, as far as the being out in the public.
Didn't have as much press going on.
Didn't have so much press going on.
I needed a direction.
So you just, all of a sudden, you're out there east of town.
Yes, sir.
Doing this crazy thing with TRI.
Yes, sir.
And that has quite a history as to how that was all put together. I want to explore that too.
Glad to do that.
So it was you and Roger again, right?
Yep.
You and Roger. Now, how did you identify that land as a possible business park or whatever you thought it was going to be? I don't know if that's what you had in mind when you bought it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. First thing we did is, as we were coming to a close with the South Meadows project, I didn't want to leave northern Nevada. I just loved it here. And I knew I needed something else to do. So I went south into Carson City, and I applied for a Harley-Davidson franchise that they had. There were 900 applicants for that store.
Really?
And so we went through an arduous process to become approved. And so in about 1997, we were awarded the franchise for Harley-Davidson store in Carson City. And so took my family down there. I thought it'd be a great family business, and it was. And so we operated that for about 5 years.
Did you build that building they're in now? Was that your project too?
No, that was Richard Tapia. He's the one that, he actually purchased the franchise from us in 2002.
Oh, okay.
I was over on the main street in an old Scolari's Market, and that I had converted into the first store.
Gotcha.
With parking and everything.
Gotcha.
So, but at any rate, I went south. I got busy with a Harley-Davidson dealership, and Roger came to me with tears in his eyes and says, "Well, I don't want to leave northern Nevada either. Find something." And so then the hunt was on for where we took our next step.
Okay, let's take a break here, and we're going to hear about TRI and that development right after we hear from a couple of our great sponsors, including the Silverland and the Marshall Mint. We want you to visit them. We'll be back with more Old Tales of Nevada right after that.
Fun, fashionable furs. epitome of glamour for decades. Designer lines for women and men, only the best will do. William Furs is the ultimate shopping experience for Reno, with furs, accessories, and great gift ideas. Winter is here. Enjoy savings of 20 to 50% off. Treat yourself or your loved ones and choose from thousands of pieces in our beautiful new inventory. William Furs, a full-service fur salon since 1977.
Deluxe Travel has been serving the Northern Nevada business and leisure traveler for over 30 years. Make 2014 the year Deluxe Travel meets your travel needs. Don't be fooled that you can find better deals on internet travel sites. Deluxe Travel will always get the best prices and provide the personal service you deserve. Let Deluxe Travel send you on your travel destinations today. Deluxe Travel, the official travel agency for Old Tales in Nevada and most Reno businesses. Have a great trip.
At Harry's Quality Cars, the 500 vehicles in stock speak for themselves.
Most of us have one owner car fax reports.
We all have warranties. I have very low mileage.
I'm the prettiest car in stock.
I'm muscle-bound and ready for the hills.
Harry's Quality Cars, local and family-owned for over 40 years on Kitski and Gentry and on South Virginia Street. Harry's cars really do speak for themselves.
Drive one of us home today!
Hi, and welcome to Boutique Elegante. We're so excited about the new fall fashions. Of course, denim is still the key word for casual fall. Team with tunics or sweaters, you'll look great. Best over-cargo pants in the Loden for fall colors. Coat sweaters so perfect for fall weather, done in high-fashion designs. You'll find the perfect ensemble for your special evening at the theater, a cruise, Reno, or San Francisco. All of this and so much more at Boutique Elegante.
Welcome back to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. We're talking with Lance Gilman, a principal over there at TRI. That's the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. And as we talked in our previous segment, also a big developer down there south of town with Double Diamond. Did you have anything to do with the DeMonte project, or was that a separate developer over there? DeMonte Ranch.
No, that was a separate developer.
Separate, okay.
Yeah, that was DeMonte and Lewis Homes.
Okay, but that whole area, because of you and your partner, that whole area has turned into a magnificent development back there. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, we're to the point now where you're looking for something to do. Roger doesn't want to leave Northern Nevada, neither do you. And so you decide to buy a ranch out on I-80. Tell us about that ranch a little bit. Was that owned by one person? It's a rather large piece of land. It's like 65% of Story County, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It was owned by Gulf Oil.
Gulf Oil.
And it was called
before that, who was it owned by?
Azamara Minerals. Mineral company was looking there. There's a thing in Nevada called a structure, and most of the mines in our state, the structure runs down through the state. And, you know, from a geological standpoint, Marshall, you're going to have a lot better feel for that than I. But
it was a Gooseberry mine. Siscon had it to start with, and then they traded it to Azamara. Okay. But it was 250,000 acres of ground that you guys were looking at, and of course I knew all about the deal too.
So was that always the size of the ranch, or was that when Goose or whoever had it? You mentioned the oil company, whatever.
I was told the Wright brothers owned it originally.
Well, that's what I read. That the Wright brothers had it originally.
That's true.
They're going to build an airport out there.
Yeah, I got a group right now wants to build an airport out there. But the Wright brothers had it, and it was a 102 ranch. It was known as the 102 for a long time. Okay. Azamara Minerals picked it up, and then Gulf bought it, and of course Gulf wanted to. They were putting in a hunting preserve. They really weren't planning to do an industrial project. And they wanted to import African animals, put up large fences, put in a big resort house, and put in, and they wanted to hunt animals. But something happened in their books, and they needed to divest themselves of that asset very, very quickly. And fortunately, you know, you kind of wait long enough and opportunities spring up, and you better be willing to step through the door. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. But I'll tell you, the reason we went out there, and Dick Bryant and I had a fun conversation. Dick said, Lance, how in the world did you know that there was an industrial play out here? He said, all of us have grown up here in Nevada and Northern, and we've been driving up and down that freeway for a lifetime and looking up there, and that doesn't look like you could even build anything up there. And so, you know, where did the idea come from? Well, that idea comes from a man named Roger Christensen. Roger and I were very good friends, and Roger was he was with the Dermody Property, DP Properties Group. He's now down in Arizona and doing investment stuff. But at any rate, Roger asked me to find something, And I had been having cocktails with Roger. He said, let's drive out and I'm going to show you something. And so really that doesn't belong to me to find. That belongs to Roger. And he said, I want to show you something. And so we drove around out there, and it was all dirt roads in those days. And everybody kind of laughed at us for the vision. And I'm glad to accept the credit for the vision, but Roger Christensen belongs on that page.
Yeah.
And so after looking at it, I went back to Roger and I said, well, I think there is a play. And so we started laying this thing out, and there were about 5 suitors trying to buy it, including DP Properties. And Gulf Oil needed to sell it very, very quickly. So we made them an all-cash offer.
Wow.
In 1997 with a 30-day non-contingent close on the 102,000 acres.
Wow.
Now that kind of cowboying, right? That you got to have a hat, and you got to be willing to really make the risk level. Yeah. So we made them an all-cash offer, 30-day non-contingent close. We'll just take it. Whatever's there is there. The rest of the buyers, the developers that wanted it, wanted everything along the river, but they didn't want to worry with all that mining and it was inside and maybe contamination, and so you had to be willing to cowboy up. And that's exactly what happened. So we bought the whole ranch, and then I probably shouldn't tell this story for the archives, but Michael Dermody has never forgiven me because we bought the ranch at a price, and I can tell you that was about $20 million.
That was a steal, though, for that many acres, right?
Well, I sold Dermody the first 200 acres down the road to Patrick for 15 million. So
well, you did well.
Well, he never forgiven me, but that's kind of a quiet story, you know what I'm saying?
Right. We won't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody.
No. That's fantastic. So $20 million for all of that land. Wow.
Yeah, but then 15 on our first sale.
Yeah, I know. That's fantastic.
What that allowed us to do, and it really set up for the success with Tesla, because we're in a small county, remember, that has 3,800 residents. And in those years, they were financially broke. As a matter of fact, the legislature was looking at splitting the county up because they couldn't afford their schools or anything. You remember? And so they were going to give part of it to Washoe and part of it to Douglas and part of it to Lyon. And of course, Roger and I just purchased this ranch, and we were getting ready to put all this infrastructure in play. And their schools were in serious trouble. And so we loaned them interest-free, pay back when you can, $400,000 in the first year. And that kind of saved the school and kind of staved off the legislature a little bit, that $400,000. Well, the next year, they needed to come back for another bite of the apple. And so that didn't look very palatable to us to just keep kicking another $500,000 a year into that thing. So they said, well, why don't you, Joe Conforti had fled, and he said, well, why don't you guys tackle the brothels for us? They generate about $500,000 a year right now, and that's in their budget at the time. I think they had a general fund budget of around $7 million, so $500,000 was a big piece of that pie.
Yeah.
And they said, if you'll do the brothels, we'll put the license in. And we said, well, as long as we don't have to struggle with others coming in on a substandard basis, we'll take a look at that with you.
So that's
how the brothels were born.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, the brothels were born out of a financial need to generate revenue for Story County at a time when they had no revenue, and we were ready to kick the park off. And so it was just a matter of making a good business deal. And so if you look at the ordinance today, no others may be built around our entrances. And so we then went ahead and invested $100 million in the infrastructure because the county, they didn't have the money to build a damn thing. So we built all the roads and all the flood. We built a full operating water plant and sewer treatment plant. We put it undergrounded all of the fiber. And so we built a complete operable community day one for cash, didn't borrow any money.
Wow.
It was all done for cash.
Unbelievable.
And so that's one of the reasons we weathered this last recession. But the park, when you go out there today and the vision we had, and I might circle back 1 minute to South Meadows and Double Diamond Ranch. The reason that we were comfortable enough to cowboy up and do something that risky is we knew coming out of South Meadows that this market, the trade area in total, was out of industrial property. We were trying to show companies 50 acres to build on in those days, and there weren't 2 sites ready to go, or that you could even get done, even of a 50 acre. Well, if you looked at the study that was done by Washoe County about a year ago on all of their land planning, they will tell you they're out of 100-acre sites in the Truckee Meadows, except for TRI. Well, we knew that coming out of South Meadows.
Wow. Wow. That's
so it was kind of a no-brainer. Get it, set it up, make sure you put all your infrastructure in there, and when this wave of use starts coming, you're prepared, and there's really no other competition. You're in the catbird
So your underground, all of that stuff, all the internet, you developed that throughout the whole ranch. So it's ready for just about anybody that wants to come in, and for almost any size that they need. How much do you have left as far as land to sell? Is it half sold, or is it a quarter sold?
If I may, I'll approach that from a little different direction.
Yeah.
Within the park, just take, how do you eat an elephant? Well, you eat the elephant one bite at a time. So you've got to kind of work your way into this slowly. 5,000 acres we can build, and this is per Candace Everett Fox Consulting. 5,000 acres, we can build 100 million feet under roof. Today in Reno, there's about 65 million feet in all of the trade area.
Wow.
In the first 5,000 acres, we can build 100 million feet.
Wow.
Today, if you would come out and drive around with me, there are 3 5,000 acre components completely ready to develop and sell.
Wow.
So I can sell you 10,000 acres or 5,000 acres, or as we just did with Tesla, 1,000 acres with more in option.
Yeah.
So we can accommodate huge users. Tomorrow, I've got a company coming, they want 100 acres, and that's not unusual out there.
Yeah.
It's because we have the land, and 100% of the infrastructure is in, it's installed, it's paid for, and we don't even have a credit line against that property.
Wow. Wow.
So it's free.
Way to do business. That's fantastic. Yeah. So you must have people from all over the world doing inquiries, right? Especially since Tesla has gotten there. But you have Walmart. Name some of the other companies that are out there if you can.
If I may, I'll approach it this direction. When Tesla arrived, and this has made me smile a lot, because we've quietly been out there over the last 10 years building and absorbing. And so the day that Tesla arrived, we already had 166 companies and over 14 million square feet under roof. Well, that's an industrial center in many communities in the world.
Yeah,
in America.
I didn't realize 166. Yeah,
166 companies.
Amazing.
And it's kind of fun because we have 1-800-Flowers out there. Or you can call up 1-800-Diapers and get your diapers.
Yeah.
Or you can go down to Duraflex and get your diving boards, and they do all the stuff for the Olympics. Or you can go up to U.S. Ordnance and buy a 50 caliber machine gun, because they do all the machine guns for the military. So it's a wonderful, diverse community.
Yeah.
And then you fill in the middle, and you got many million square foot buildings or thereabouts. You've got Walmart is up there, and PetSmart is up there. Randa is up there. Pittsburgh Paint and Glass, Olympic Stain Division is up there.
Biodiesel, you have GD Diesel up there.
Fulcrum Bio is building now a $180 million plant.
Yeah.
And so that all was in place and in play long before Tesla showed up.
Let me ask you this,
and
Lance.
then here comes Tesla.
What is it just going to be industrial properties out there, or do you foresee a community out there like South Meadows or schools, shopping? It would seem to me it would work together with that somehow. Do you have plans for that at all?
Actually, we deviated from perhaps a standard plan that a lot of folks would look like of a community, because very often you have community developers and they go in, and you're right, they put in their industrial pod, and then they'll put in their office pod, and then they'll surround it with houses. And then the first thing is the houses are all concerned because the trucks are running through their neighborhoods, and you got school children trying to go to school, and you got stoplights, and you got mom pulling baby carriages. So then you got attractive nuisance, and then all of a sudden you got a hodgepodge of problems.
Right.
So we elected to do, in many ways, the first of its kind. The Tahoe Reno Industrial Center prohibits residential building of any kind.
Okay.
And
that's
so
different,
it is a pure industrial park. We have a short line permit from Washington to have our own rail service. We have a huge infrastructure, and we're running somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 trucks a day in and out of there right now.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And we're just barely started.
Yeah, I saw 1,800 in an article, and I said, that's a lot right there.
Well, that's pretty much going to be Walmart in the future.
Unbelievable.
So, and then Tesla themselves, they're building their own rail into their own plant. They're putting in their own intermodal yard, much like the 7 acres that are down behind the Nugget in Sparks. So, it's a heavy working industrial center.
Unbelievable. Let's take a break here. We'll come back and find out about the future and some other things that you're involved with up there in Story County, which is kind of fun. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more Old Tales of Nevada right after this.
Hi there, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall of the Marshall Mint in Virginia City, Nevada. I'm proud to announce that our 7-ingot set honoring the V&T Railroad is now finished.
That's right, Roy. These beautiful 999 silver ingots celebrate the engines from the world-famous V&T Railroad and honor Nevada's sesquicentennial. These limited edition treasures can be purchased only at the Marshall Mint in Virginia City, Nevada.
Or visit us at marshallmint.com to get yours today.
The Charter Spectrum Triple Play. It's more than meets the eye. With over 200 free HD channels available, it's the most HD you can get. Instant access to over 10,000 on-demand movies and shows. Plus the Charter app for live TV that jumps to mobile devices in any room. All that for $29.99 a month. Switch to Charter Spectrum Internet, faster than the speed of WOW. Take off with 60 megs of speed, bandwidth that lets multi-people multitask, stream movies, play games, watch videos, and share vines all at once. No slowdowns. Shazam! For only $29.99 a month. Just call 877-959-1634. Then pick up Charter Spectrum Voice for unlimited local and long-distance calling. And catch this. No drop calls. Stuck in a contract? Charter pays up to $500 to get you out. Charter Spectrum TV, Internet, and Voice, $29.99 a month each. Call 877-959-1634. See for yourself. Call Charter today.
We're back here for our last segment of Old Tales of Nevada, Past and Present, having a great conversation with a great man here in Nevada, Mr. Lance Gilman. And boy, that... Roy, you'd have to say we got somebody here that brings us a lot of pride, doesn't it?
That's exactly right, though. Yeah, that's why we're doing this show.
Yeah.
Make people proud to be it.
I sure appreciate being a part of it.
Yeah, your vision and your accomplishments. I mean, not only have brought business to town, but look at all of the employees that are working because of what you have done here in Northern Nevada. The risk that you were willing to take with your partner and bring this to fruition. It's just an amazing story, and I think I rank you with some of the great entrepreneurs from the past. You know, the ones that are up on the Comstock and the ones that were down here in the valley that were so successful over the years. We got another one right here, making a legacy. We'll be talking about Lance Gilman and Roger Norman for years to come. But that project out there isn't the only accomplishment that you're proud of. You're also a politician now, I understand.
I am. Yes, sir. Never thought that had happened. And most of my friends, I'd say, why would you do that? And so I'm learning some of the reasons why you wouldn't do that. But there were some real serious reasons why. You know, I look right now at our little Story County, whom I just love. And if you really look at the state of Nevada, our fortunes were driven by Story County in the heyday of the 1800s.
We talk about that often.
And so here we are with this Comstock lode, and they're really the financial center of the world. I was told it was one of the richest places on earth at one time, and may still be.
It still is.
From what
you write.
So then, shortly time thereafter, we discovered Las Vegas. And so Las Vegas, when they come in to play, in about the 30s?
Yeah, 50s. Yeah, 50s probably, late 40s, 50s.
So all of a sudden that set our financial futures, and so then we became gaming and adult entertainment and the convention center of the world, and all of that drove our state of Nevada for all these years. And now, as you take a look at where we are, gaming, when I first got to Nevada in 1985, there wasn't a single state in the nation that had legalized gaming. Mm-hmm. Today, they all do.
They all do.
I don't think there's one that doesn't of some kind. Mm-hmm. So our fortunes are changing, and perhaps our future and our financial stability, and so where is it going? Well, we're reinventing ourselves quickly.
Technology.
And so technology. Mm-hmm. And we have a governor down there in Sandoval that's doing a wonderful job, in my opinion.
Yes,
so now our technology base is growing, and that's the new future of Nevada. And where is the epicenter?
Right here.
It's out at the Tall Reno Industrial Center in Story County.
Absolutely.
In Story County. Yeah. So we've come a full circle since the 1800s, and we're right back at home. And I think
what's neat? I heard, and you can tell me if this is true or not, but because of what you did out there in Story County, and because of the mining activity as well, that Story County, which was the poorest county in the state, will probably be one of the richest counties in the world.
Per capita?
Per capita.
It'll happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's already there. It could already be there because, you know, we've got 3,800 people.
Yeah.
They're a pretty wealthy little community. But that's what led me into politics because, you know, we all set our crystal ball on the table, and we peer into the glass and we decide where we're going to go and what needs to happen. And my future says that Story County is going to have an incredible threshold opportunity, tremendous wealth growing, and it's wonderful to be thought of to be a part of that and to kind of manage where that all goes.
Most certainly.
It's just
now, Lance. Let me ask you this: TRI is in the northeast corner, is the way I would locate it, right? Of Story County, is that the northeast corner?
Yeah,
sort of.
It starts there,
but it's kind of separated from Virginia City.
Yes, sir.
And Virginia City's been struggling for some years now, even though you got all that good stuff happening down there on I-80. So what's your thoughts about Virginia City? What needs to happen there to make it as prosperous as, I know Roy wants to see it happen. He's done a lot of things there, put his money where his mouth is. But what's your thoughts as a commissioner up there? What needs to happen?
Well, I believe that the future for Virginia City is tourism. It just has to be. It's in a sweet spot for that, and really the elements are already there. We just need to keep improving and up. We need some of those buildings to go like this and kind of straighten them up, and that's happening. There are folks coming in and investing, and I don't believe there's any question but that Virginia City is on the threshold of exploding, especially from a tourism standpoint. You've got Lake Tahoe up there. We just needed the economy to come back. All of us have been influenced by 5 years of desperation. We watched our friends lose their businesses and the communities around us erode and the businesses. Well, that's coming back, and I think it's coming back. It's unprecedented on what's going to happen right here in northern Nevada, and that's going to then bring Virginia City right along. And so I believe mining is going to play a great part of the wealth building up there, and then tourism. We're already getting, I think,
historical
tourism. A million tourists. We just need to figure out how to embellish that, and you're already up there with hotels and mining, and you've invested heavily up there.
And you put your money where your mouth is with a new restaurant up there, which is very, very important, and one that's going to be open on a regular basis.
Sure, I just purchased my second building up there, and am looking at. We've got a restaurant and a museum and a wonderful lounge, and we're right in the center of town, and we're looking forward to working with Roy and all the crew down there from the Silverland Hotel. And I believe that Virginia City we better get our stuff bought as soon as we can, because I think that real estate's going to get out of control.
Now's the time to buy the town.
If he says so, I would listen to Lance, because he's got the vision.
Well, that's what I'm doing. And it's coming, and that's why I'm sitting in a commissioner's seat.
Let me take you to a personal note here. I always like to ask entrepreneurs, especially very successful ones like yourself, and we've had them on the show before, Kimmy Candy and different people in the biofuel.
Wonderful.
And I always like to ask them what makes you tick as an individual. What makes you so successful compared to other businessmen that might be moderately successful or not so successful? You must have a philosophy or a drive in you that gets you to these wonderful projects that you find yourself involved with and makes you successful. So have you ever explored that, sat down and meditated on that what makes you different from the average Joe?
Not particularly. I think I'm very average. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you say with Lance Gilman, I think pride goeth before a fall. So you better stay centered and humble. I think, there's nothing worse than seeing somebody that gets too carried away with their own press or their own self.
Right.
So I think that humbleness is an important factor. And I've always believed, and I saw it within South Meadows when we started. There's literally not a project I can think of in my life that I haven't had adversaries and advocates. And so one of the thoughts we were talking about earlier is to thine own self be true. Very, very important. And also make your plan. And you do that based on hunch or industry analysis or the fact that intuition plays a lot of it. But you make your plan. And then what you have to do is work it, because everybody around you, family, friends, they're all going to advise you. I think it's the advisor from afar, and they're going to tell you what's wrong with your plan.
What you can't do.
And you can't do this. And boy, it's too much risk, and you shouldn't be. And I think you make your plan, you work your plan, and as long as your vision was right in the first place and you can remember that, you will be successful.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
That's a great philosophy. And I think that thought pattern intertwines with many of the guests we've had on the show, and many of the historical people we've learned about, you, Roy, like up on the Comstock.
Most certainly.
You know, they could have all turned tail and gone home. It's difficult to operate a mine and to make it successful and to do what you do, you, Roy.
And then to get the permits and to work with the community.
Some
hate you and some love you.
Exactly. You can't please everybody. And if you listen to the naysayers, you wouldn't ever get anything done.
You'd never get anything done.
And I think that's unique about the United States, right?
Has been.
We are the inventors. We are the creativity of the world, and we make things happen. And you show us that, you know, with your activities here in Northern Nevada. Just a great example, I think, to young ones, and even for us seniors, that life does begin at 70, right?
Oh, it does. Absolutely. I think Hugh Roy would join me too. You know, we can have what we can visualize. If we can visualize it strongly enough and we have a desire and an appetite for it, we can make that and create it and make it come true.
If you can conceive it, you can achieve it.
If you can see it, you can achieve it. Right. Now, sometimes you can't do it all on your own. You have to have folks around you, like you have Roger as a good confidant and partner over the years. But there's probably other people you depend on heavily to bring success to you as well.
I believe all of us in life that have had true successes owe it to the team of people that surround us and are willing to buy into the dream.
Right.
And work is hard. You know, Jennifer's sitting here with me, and I've got to tell you, my office, my life, my business wouldn't work without her sitting. My son Don is managing my trust, and Donnie Gilman and his family, and God love him. And they give, as with myself, they get all the days off that don't end in Y. Yeah. And otherwise, you better be working, and you better be thinking, and you better be doing your business.
Well, what do you do?
It doesn't matter that, I get the weekend. Well, if you're 8 to 5 and you're going to collect a check, then I'm sure that everybody doing that's very happy. But if it stops at 5, then there's an awful lot of hours left.
So what do you do outside of work? I know work is fun for you. You probably are known as a workaholic. Just real brief, what do you do for fun?
Well, I've been guilty. One of the philosophies is you don't want to do anything that's your hobby and make it your business because you ruin your hobby. Well, I did that with boats, and I got into the marine store, and I ruined my hobby. And I got into Harleys. I love Harley Davidsons, and as a matter of fact, I have some there in Virginia City right now. But once I made them my business, they changed. So much of what I do in life becomes a business. And so now I'm enjoying the restaurant. Okay. And we're redecorating and the bar and the museum. But that's the fun of life. So I guess that's kind of what I do. Recreation otherwise.
We want to thank you so much for being part of our show. We've been trying to get you on the show for a while. And it's so important to have people like you here. So we appreciate it very much. You're a wonderful man, wonderful businessman, a good corporate citizen, and you do bring us pride here in Nevada to have you doing business here. So thanks so much.
We're going to put you in the history books for sure.
I've got to tell you, we're all sitting here with an awful lot of intellectual background. Let's not quit.
Well, listen, we want to invite everybody back for another episode of Old Tales of Nevada next week. In the meantime, this is John O'Brien, Roy Marshall, and our special guest, Lance Gilman, saying goodbye and have a great Nevada day.